Hey there, roguelike fans. We're going to take a brief detour from our 2006 7-day roguelike playthroughs today. Because in the very near future, in a week or two, within the next week or two, I will definitely be uploading the newest version of my own game, Caverns of Xaskazien 2. And at that time, I also intend to do a playthrough of the game to a YouTube playthrough to help new players, figure out how to play that game. That's a much more elaborate and complex game than a lot of the ones we've been playing lately on this channel. But given that that's on the horizon, I thought it might be fun to go back and do Let's Plays of where that all began. So let's do some... you gotta use DOSBox to fire this particular game up. dir cave... sure, cavern, sure. Alright, so just cd cavern ~1 for me. dir cd... As you can see, what we're going to do is take a look at today Caverns of Xaskazien, the original game, not the current game I'm working on. Let's be 100% clear about that, because I've talked enough about that game on this channel that I don't want people to see this fired up and think, oh, this is what you're working on? Caverns of Xaskazien version 1 was made in 1995, so 23 years ago. The game has continued to evolve into a brand new game, Caverns of Xaskazien 2, but continued to evolve for 23 years, so be cognizant of the fact that this is a version that is 23 or maybe 22 years old. The first game was made in 1995. I think the version we're about to play was made in 1996, or updated in 1996. Okay, let's fire it up. Ooh, snazzy graphics. Caverns of Xaskazien, the earliest versions, actually all the versions of Caverns of Xaskazien, used a 640 by 480 palette. You know what? Let me expand this so I can play it better. What happens when I do this? Let's just see if does this affect you in any way? Can you see that grow? Woo! Am I still pointing at the same things? Yeah, okay. Here, I just expanded it in OBS Studio. It doesn't do that in the game. That was me making it bigger so I can play, because it is a 640 by 480 window inside of my 4K monitor. So I'm trying to play on a freaking needlehead here. But here we go. This is Caverns of Xaskazien, version 1.13. There's no version number. Back then, I had no idea I'd be continuing the game, so I didn't make version numbers. But this is the earliest version of the game I could find. I found it on a 3.5-inch disc a couple of years back when I still had a computer capable of reading discs like that, and managed to snag it over to the hard drive, so thank God it's preserved. Nobody else has ever seen a Let's Play of this because, well, I haven't. Aside from a few brief nostalgic visits in the last couple of years, I haven't fired this game up in a long time, and nobody else has ever had access to it. Going forward, with the newest release of Caverns 2, I will be including a folder called Bonus, and in the Bonus folder you'll be able to find 5 different versions of the original Caverns of Xaskazien, in case you're interested. Compared to the rest of the game, it's so small anyway, why not include it? So this is version 1.13. Just so we're on the same page. Version 1 took 3 days to make. It was a 3-day roguelike. Version 1.13 was a few extra things I added in over the next year, which were all potions. There were no potions in the original game. All the potions got added in with version 1.13. And again, it wasn't called version 1.13 back then. It was just Caverns of Xaskazien. Let's hit enter and start into the game. So here we go. You only have 3 options in the start. You can move your little hand with the number pad. Make sure your num lock is on. As you can see, quit to DOS. It is a very old game. It was DOS-based. It utilized the Borland graphics library to program. I was programming in Borland C++ back then. Load a game would load your currently saved game if you had one. You can only have one saved game at a time. And enter Caverns is what we're going to do to start a new game. Thy character's name. Let's call him Jeff. Why not? There we go. So here we are inside the very earliest version of Caverns of Xaskazien that you or anyone is ever going to see anymore, because earlier versions of this do not exist that I can find. And they're probably unwinnable anyway. Even this version would be really hard to win, but the potions at least make it somewhat theoretically plausible that a person could win. So what are we looking at? Here's our character name. You have 4 different attributes: strength, dexterity, intelligence, and health. Those will always start out the same for you. Every character starts with 3 strength, 3 dexterity, 3 intelligence, and 12 health. What do those do? In Caverns 1 version 1.13, they only do a few things. Strength only has the following effect. It mitigates how much gold you can carry. you can carry a maximum amount of gold equal to 10 times your strength. So this character could carry 30 gold pieces. But if he found 31 gold pieces, well, he couldn't, I guess it was always found in multiples of 10 back then. But if he found 40 gold pieces, 10 of those gold pieces would be lost, and he would be left with 30. So don't pick up more gold if you've got, as much as you can carry. Dexterity. Dexterity governs how easy it is for you to hit monsters in combat. The combat was pretty simple back then. It rolled 1d10. It picked a number from 1 to 10. It added to that the monster's defense rating. And if that number was less than or equal to your dexterity, then you hit. Or if the number rolled was a 1. A roll of 1 always hit, so you had a 10% chance of hitting no matter what. Barring that, if that number was less than or equal to your dexterity, you hit. The monsters work the same way. They have an attack value that's the same as their dexterity. It picks a number from 1 to 10, adds your defense, and if that number is less than or equal to their attack rating, or if it's 1, then they hit. Intelligence 3 gives us 3 spell points. I think that's consistent across the entire play. Whatever your intelligence score is how many spell points you have. Your health is your hit points. When these hit 0, you are dead. We can have a maximum of 12. We have 12. Your weapon. Everybody starts off with a dagger. The dagger does 1 to 4 damage. Your weapon is very simple. It dictates how much damage you do in combat. It's that straightforward. The first thing you have is the dagger. It does 1 to 4. Every time you find a weapon, incidentally in this game, it was very simple again. If you find a weapon, it will upgrade it. So the next weapon we find will automatically be a short sword. The weapon we find after that will automatically be a long sword. And I'll tell you the damage ratings as we go. Short sword does 1 to 6. Long sword does 1 to 8. Two-handed sword does 1 to 10. And thereafter you find magic swords +1, +2, +3. And they do 1 to 10, +1, +2, +3, blah, blah, blah. Armor works the same way. We start with none. The first thing we find will be leather. It gives it defensive 1. Then I think chainmail gives us defensive 2. Then maybe scale mail or splint mail. I don't remember which. Probably scale mail. Probably gives us defensive 3. Then would be plate mail. It gives you defensive 4. And then magic armor +1, magic armor +2, which is 5, 6, 7, blah, blah, blah. Gold, we got 0. Come back to that in a minute. Experience, we need 30 to level up. We have 0. Every time you level up, the amount of experience required to get to the new level is increased by 10%. And we're on dungeon level 1. There are only a few things that remain consistent from this version of the game all the way through to 23 years later to Caverns 2, which currently exists. And that is this. You had the same forced statistics. They do different things to some degree in Caverns 2. They do a lot of different things in Caverns 2 now than they did back then, but you have the same force statistics. They don't all start the same way, though. They're on a different scale entirely, in fact. Back then, your experience you needed goes up by 10% every time you level up. That's the same. The only other thing I can think of that's the same is your mission. Your mission in this game is to kill Xaskazien, a big demon who lives on dungeon level 30. If you die, you're dead. It's got permadeath. If you kill him, you win. It's as simple as that. Now, the last thing I want to look at is the spells. And I'm just going to press C for a minute. I'm not even going to do it yet, in case I screw something up. If you press C, that's how you cast a spell. There are 9 different spells in the game, and you start off knowing all of them. The 9 spells correspond to the numbers at the top of your keyboard, the 1 through 9. If you cast a spell, it costs as many spell points as whatever button you're pressing. So if you cast spell number 2, it costs you 2 spell points, which means we can only cast right now up to spell number 3. Now again, this game was made in 95, and here's the thing. Over the years, as I evolved the game, I just wrote over the old code. At least with Caverns 1, I just kept writing over the old code. So I don't have access to this code anymore. It's long since been overwritten. I also cannot find anywhere whatever limited instruction manual I would have made at the time to go with it. And what that means is I don't remember what all the spells do. I know some of them by memory. Spell number 1 is Magic Missile. Does 1 to 4 damage to the monster you're fighting. Spell number 2 is Light Healing. Heals 1 to 4 health. Spell number 3 is Cure Poison. Removes poison from you. The rest of this is kind of guesswork, but I think I have some of it. Spell number 4, I think, was some sort of Mage Armor, which would raise your defense for a while, but I'm not sure of that. Spell number 5, I think, was Fireball, which did, I think, 11 to 20 damage to the monster you're fighting. Not sure of that. Spell number 6, I think, was Grievous Healing, which would probably heal 11 to 20 health for you. Not sure of that. Spell number 7, actually 7 or 8, I don't know. One of the two, I think, was Teleport, which would teleport you randomly somewhere on the map. Don't know where, as a blink spell equivalent. And finally, number 9, I'm sure, was Death. Death would instantly kill any monster you were fighting, except for it wouldn't work on Xaskazien. that's that. How do you move? You use the number pad. Let's start moving. You can only move the 4 cardinal directions. 8, 4, 6, and 2. 5 will... I think that's the case. Anyway, I'm trying to move northeast. See what happens. Yeah, you can't. 5 would pass your turn. So it's just those 5 buttons on the numpad plus plus C and then whatever number spell you want to cast are the only keys you need in the whole game. As you can see, your sight range was limited to 1 square. I guess one other thing that is similar today to the game as it was back then, incidentally, you'll hear the sounds are PC sound. I'm still impressed that modern computers can use PC sound. Oh, there's a bat. We'll go kill it in a minute. While I'm on the topic, though, the reason I made this game back in the day in 95, I had seen games like Dungeon on the Commodore PET, and I'd seen Dungeon on the Commodore PET, I'd seen Sword of Fargol on the Commodore 64. Those, at that time, were the only 2 roguelikes I had ever heard of. I didn't know the term roguelike, I didn't know others existed. But I was intrigued with the fact that in both those games, they created random dungeons that were contiguous. You could get from one point to the other without, being blocked off. And the main reason I made this game initially was to say, can I figure out a way to make a random space? I don't know if you noticed when we actually started this game up, the executable is called Randung back then. It was for random dungeon. The version that I came up with to make a random dungeon was not good. It makes really crappy dungeons. but it worked, and that was the main reason I made the whole thing in the first place. For nostalgic reasons, this methodology is still used to a limited degree in Caverns 2 today. Most of it uses different methods to, binary space partitions and such to make levels or mazes and all kinds of different stuff. But it still does occasionally use this algorithm, including the first level. The first level of Caverns of Xaskazien 2 always uses this initial algorithm to create the levels as a nod of the head to its origins. Although with the way Caverns 2 works, it fills the dungeon with so much more content that it actually works. It looks decent there. It doesn't look great here. How do you fight? All you do is occupy the same square as a monster. We got to step onto the bee. You don't bump to attack in this. We actually occupy the same square. As you can see, as we move around, it's chasing us. Let's step on it. There, lovely PC sound. Here's all the stats there are about it. It's a giant bat. Its speed is fast. It means it moves as fast as us. But unlike you, monsters could move diagonally. So it would eventually catch you, and you'd be forced to fight it. It has an attack of 1, which means it only has a 1 in 10 chance of hitting you, no matter what. If it hits us, it will do 1 damage. It has 2 hit points. Remember, we can do 1 to 4 if we hit it. It has no defense. So we should be able to take it easier than it can hit us. Let's just keep passing our turn to fight it. Actually, let's keep moving around, because it's going to chase us and be equal in speed anyway, so we might as well keep exploring the dungeon while we fight. It hit us for 1. Darn it. Ah, come on. Odds are in my favor. There we go. Damn it, managed to do 3 damage to us. That really sucks. Now, if you're asking where can I get this game, at the moment, nowhere. When I put up the next version of Caverns 2 in the next week or two, I'm including a bonus folder now in the game, and that bonus folder includes 5 different versions of the original Caverns of Xaskazien, roughly corresponding to versions 1 through 5. It's actually version like 4 point some odd or 3 point some odd, but it's whatever I could find. This would be the equivalent of version 1.13. I didn't keep version numbers back then, but it would be. That's a goblin. A relatively tough foe. It's not as fast as us. Fuck, we're not doing well here. Speed average. So we are faster than it. It has an attack rating of 2, which means it has a 20% chance of hitting us right now with our no armor. Damage, it will do 1 to 2 damage every time it hits us. It has 5 hit points. And defense of 0. I'm not going to cast a spell at it yet, or at all. We'll see what happens. Let's leave it behind for now. The AI was really simple back then. Monsters move in a straight line towards you. It's that simple. They always know where you are, and they will always try to get to you. So now, all the monsters on the entire map are trying to get to us right now. Just they're blocked by walls and shit. You'll also notice there's no line of sight routine in this game. It was purely, once you'd explored territory, you knew what was there. So monsters that are in unexplored territory, we don't know where they are. Monsters that are in explored territory, we can find. Okay, that helped. All right, one more hit, man. One more hit, we got it. Still going to keep looking around first to find some other stuff, because there might be stuff out here that can help us. That O is an orc. That is a very tough opponent, theoretically. health was a lot more randomized back then, so it might have low health if we're lucky. You can see, by the way, we have 2 experience out of 30 for killing that bat. It only has 1 hit point. Man, we got it. Okay. Orc's dead. Now we're up to 8 experience. I think it had 1 to 8 hit points or something. What is that square to our left? That is a temple. This works the same in Caverns of Xaskazien 2 today as it did back then. Any gold you have, when you step on the temple, it converts your gold to experience points at a 1-to-1, not a 1-to-1 ratio, a 1-to-10 ratio back then. So if you had 30 gold, you stepped on the temple, you'd get 3 experience points. That is the only purpose of gold in this version of the game. You can't buy anything. You're only finding gold to bring to the temple. That is an idea stolen directly, incidentally, from Sword of Fargol. I knew I wanted gold in the game, and I couldn't think of a reason to include it back then. I didn't have the idea yet of putting in merchants. I didn't have much ambition for the game. It was really meant to be a 3-day exercise. Really a 3-day excuse to lock myself in my room and not face adult responsibilities. I just moved from Windsor, Ontario, a small city of 200,000 to the big city of 4-point-some-odd million in Toronto at the time. At least the GTA was 4-point-some-odd million. And I was facing adulthood and pursuing a career in acting and living with a roommate I wasn't getting along with, and my girlfriend and I were having trouble and all kinds of crazy crap. So I was pretty stressed. I made the game really as an excuse to bury my head in the sand just for a few days and not have to face adult life for 3 days. And that was, I assumed that would be the end of the game. Little did I know I would still be working on it a quarter of a century later. You can find weapons and armor, obviously. When you find a weapon or armor, it's very straightforward in this game. It upgrades your weapon or armor to the next level. I don't know if I said this or not earlier. Pit trap. Oh, shit. Once you fire off a pit trap, it'll never show up again, but you can't see them. So we just took 1 damage for falling in that pit trap. You take damage equal to the level, if I remember correctly, if you step in a pit trap, which means, incidentally, you want to make sure your health is always higher than or equal to the level you're on, or actually higher than the level you're on, or else you risk stepping on a pit trap and ending your game. There were some pretty brutal deaths. I mean, there still are in any version of Caverns, including in any roguelike, really, but they're a lot more manageable now with skills and different ways to mitigate the risks. I'm going to have to just heal myself soon. Alright, that guy's dead. Oh, I found a strength potion. Okay, I didn't mean to step on that. When you find a potion, there was no inventory back here. If you find a potion and you step on it, you instantly use it. So we've used this strength potion for, I don't know how long it is, maybe 120 turns? That's what it is today. I don't know. Our strength will act as much higher. Let's just move and we'll see it. There you go. Our strength is equivalent of 8 right now, which means we can carry up to 80 gold pieces. Now, back in this game, it mattered a lot more than it would, that aspect mattered a lot more than it would today. Because the amount of gold you find when you find gold is not mitigated by the dungeon level you're on. This is a gold square to our northeast. If we step on it, we will find 10 to 100 gold. It always comes in multiples of 10. So, however much it is, we wouldn't have been able to carry all that before, so we might as well dump this off in the temple. There we go. Get 5 experience for that. Let's keep walking around. Let's move a little bit slowly so we don't accidentally step on crap we don't want to trigger like that strength potion. Hopefully we'll find some more gold. That is a health potion. Might as well grab it. As I said, this is version 1.13. The original version of the game had no potions, and it was too deadly, and I started adding in the potions over time to make it a little less deadly. One of them is a health potion. There is a health potion on every single dungeon level of the game. 1 health potion. When you step on it, you get back 3 times the dungeon level in health. So when we step on this way up to 8, there we go. And let's just keep looking around. There will be no more health potions and no more opportunities to heal unless we cast light healing on this level. Potions, weapons, armor, traps, booby traps, gold, the temple, the stairs are, I think, the only things there are in the game. We should be able to kill this guy without him hitting us. It should be theoretically possible. There we go. Alright, let's just make sure there's nothing else to grab on this level. And if there isn't, we'll use our last bit of spell points before we head down. That's the level. These are the stairs over here. To cast a spell, as I said, you press C. And its number 2 I know is light healing, so let's cast that. We get back 3 health, so we're at 11 out of 12. We have 1 spell point left, but the only thing we can cast with that is Magic Missile, and there's nothing to cast it at. We should have used that earlier. Let's go down. Descend stairs. Hit Y for yes. Oh, we started in a pit trap. How's that for luck? Okay, that's a skeleton to our north. Again, potentially very vicious foe. Because the like the orc, for instance, had 1 to 8 health, as I recall. That skeleton might, if we're lucky, have minimal health, allowing us to kill it a little easier. But for now, let's assume we don't want to fight. This guy had 2 health, so he's not as easy to kill as the last bat. Alright, we got him. We're moving up towards a new level. What happens when you level up, in case we don't live that long? You get 1 point to put into strength, dexterity, or intelligence, or else you can put 5 to 10 points into your health, randomly chosen. That's it. Guy's only got 1 health, man. Kill him. Ah, frack. We're cornered here. Let's get out of this corner. This guy's much more deadly. We don't want to fight him. We are getting preposterously unlucky. They're hitting us more often than we're hitting them, which is statistically unlikely with goblins and kobolds. I have no reason to assume the algorithm didn't work. It was pretty simple, straightforward, but I literally can't check. I'll never be able to check. Come on, let's at least find a weapon or something. Here's a strength potion. I don't want to grab that yet. I want to wait till we know where all the gold is to maximize our... Jesus Christ, are you kidding me? I guess we're going to have to cast light healing. C2. I'm going to save that... There we go. Save that magic missile for that skeleton. I don't like to use these spells if I can avoid it because... poison in this game is a death sentence if you can't figure out how to shake it. You know, if you can't cure it. It won't. In modern caverns, it'll eventually fade on you. In this game, it's permanent unless you can get rid of the cure spell or a cure potion. Those are the only 2 ways to get rid of poison in this game. There are dexterity potions, which will temporarily kick our dexterity up by 5. So my recommendation is walk around the level and see if you can find one of those before you engage in combat, and then lure the monsters over near it, and fight them. Seems like if I remember correctly, the old strategies and tactics I used to use. That seems to be the case. There's our health potion. Let's grab that. Alright, so we're back up to 10. I don't want to use my spell unless I have to, as I said. We don't want to step on that. Yeah, we can grab that, I guess. Why not? Let's grab that and start grabbing gold. Let's cast Magic Missile. We did 2 damage to him anyway. 60 gold. Let's get that to the temple before... I think if your strength wears back down in this version of the game, if your strength wears back down before you've deposited your gold, I think you still maintain your gold. But we wouldn't be able to pick up much more. So it still makes sense to deposit it before we grab more. Let's go to the closest gold we can find so our strength doesn't wear out. And we only got 30 for it. This sucks. Alright, we got him. And hey, oh, we're one shy. I thought he was a skeleton. I thought that was a skeleton we killed, not the kobold. Alright, there we go. Experience increase. So if we raised our strength, we could pick up more gold. If we raised our dexterity, we'd be better off in combat. Our intelligence would give us access to that 4th spell, not to mention more spells in general. And our health would keep us alive longer. I think I'm going to go with dexterity for now. Just to make sure we can have a bit better chance of killing that skeleton. His defensive 0, so we both have a 40% chance of hitting each other. But I'm going to keep trying to grab gold before my strength wears down. Jesus, 10. I'm going to grab this other one then, too. Oh my god, how crappy is that? Let's see if there's any more gold over here. As I said, it's 10 to 100 gold every time you find a gold square. Our strength finally wore out. hitting us like crazy. But we're moving up towards level 3. Slowly. Let's drop off our gold. No reason to maintain it. I wish we had one more spell. There are mage potions you can find, 2 spell potions, which will restore all your spell points. There are curative potions, which will remove poison. Strength and dexterity potions, as you've seen. And then finally there are health potions. That's all there is in terms of potions. And those are all that differentiate 1.13 from 1. You've got to be kidding me. It's got 10% chance. I've got a 40% chance. Again, assuming the algorithm worked. Not quite dead, eh? All right. Let's head down to the next level. You get all your spell points back when you reach a new dungeon level. Let's look for health. Let's look for potions as fast as we can. Got about 5 minutes left in this video. Unless there's a curative potion. Don't step on that unless you're poisoned. These rats, that rat could poison us, so we don't want to fight it. But if we do have to fight it, we should fight it near that potion so we can get rid of. Here's another strength potion. Man, I haven't seen this game in a long time. Like I said, I fired it up occasionally for nostalgic value. All right, to our left, that is either a new weapon, a new armor, or a trap. Don't know which. It might be a map as well. I think maps might have also existed. I don't want to hurt myself here. I'd rather find the health potion first, but actually I will look around for the health potion first in case it's a trap. But if it looks like we're going to be cornered into combat, we should run back and get that in case it's a armor or a weapon, which would really help us out a lot. Boom. Alright, if we come down here, they're going to be released. I'm going to grab that thing and hope for the best. Of course! Booby trap, slide down to the next level. So we're on dungeon level 4. That's unfortunate. There are several different booby traps. There's a dagger trap and a spear trap, which does damage. Slide trap that brings you down. There's a poison needle trap that'll poison you. I don't remember what else there is, if anything else. It's been a long time. The monsters do get progressively harder as you go down. That's a hobgoblin to our south. Don't want to mess with him. I think he's not as tough as an orc. Probably will wrap this up in one video. I think we're probably going to be dead before we have to get too far. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Curative potion, in case we need it. Or we can cast C3. Fuck, he's almost got me. Maybe we'll just get rid of him with some magic missiles. Or try. Oh, he only did 1 damage, though. Alright. Alright, he's dead. We have enough for a heal spell. Let's do that. 3 health back from that. Kobold. As I recall, too, monsters didn't have special abilities in this game. Like, every monster is just a tougher version of monsters. It has a higher attack / speed / damage or whatever, depending on how that monster evolved. But there were no monsters with special abilities back in this day that I can recall. None of them cast spells. None of them have any tricks up their sleeves other than being, say, tough. If we step on this, we will get back 12 hit points. So we don't want to use it yet. We want to get into more combat before we use this. Probably not with that hobgoblin, but maybe we can kill that kobold first. Oh, he can't hurt us yet, can he? Okay. Something I wish I had implemented back then, and I didn't implement until Caverns 2, I don't think I didn't implement it, is the fact that you get all of your health back when you level up. It doesn't happen in this version. It doesn't happen in any version of Caverns 1, I don't think. In Caverns 2, I realized, hey, that's a good way to increase survivability. And if I had in this game, I think this would be a pretty fun game, actually, to be honest. It's very simple, but I think it would be pretty fun if If we step on a pit trap right now, we're dead. Let's go fight that hobgoblin to try and, well, kill it without getting hurt. But if we have to get hurt, let's lure it back a bit. Do we need to? Oh, it can't kill us with one hit. We have no more spells. Let's just try and kill it. Come on. Come on. We got a 40% chance. Alright, it's half dead. I think the fact that you're always on edge with your health in this game. Okay. Okay, let's go get that health kit. Or health potion. Is not a selling point. I think it's a to the detriment of the game. I wish I had done things differently in that regard. And like I said, giving you a bit more ways to heal. Because as it is, it's I always feel like you're clinging to life. It feels like. If we finish this level and there's no sign of us dying, we are back to full health. When we finish this level and go down to the next, I'll call it there and we'll make a second video. Because we might live for a little while. You never know. I have beaten early versions of Caverns. Cave-in. Oh, that's another thing you can find. Cave-ins just erase your map when you step on them. It kind of sucks. There's no hunger clock in this game. There's no reason to feel pressured to move on. Take your time. It sucks. It's annoying. And there's no way to prevent that. There's no way to see that in advance, I think. Unless maybe maps could reveal that. I don't know. There's that curative potion again. As you can see, the maps themselves are very haphazard. Like I said, my first goal with this game was trying to say, can I figure out a way to make random contiguous spaces? And also, like I said, back then there was no reference. The library didn't have any books on making a roguelike. The term was barely known then. Certainly I didn't know it. And the internet was so fledgling, there was no way for me to look anything of that nature up. And I wouldn't have known what to look up, because again, I didn't know many games of that type existed. So I doubt the information was out there, and if it was, I didn't have access to it. My method that I finally hit on, and I was quite proud of it at the time, was very simple. You have a 40 by 40 grid. It picks a random square inside of the outer walls of the 40 by 40 grid. Then it picks a random direction, north, south, east, or west, and picks a random length. I don't know if that length was 1 to 4 or 1 to 6. And then it drills a hole. It started with all wall in the 40 by 40 grid. Drills a passage in a straight line in that direction for that length. Then it starts randomly picking squares on the map until it finds floor, empty space. Then it picks a random direction, picks a random length, and drills a hole in that direction. And it just does that over and over again, a set number of times. I don't know how many times. And then it ends up making maps like this. And it's always contiguous, of course, because you're always, aside from that very first pick, you're always starting inside a place that exists. And I think it placed your character at the first point it picked. I think your character starts at whatever first initial spot it chose as oops, I didn't mean to pick that up. But okay, we got it. Drop it off. As you can see, we only got 30 gold out of that, 3 experience out of that, because our strength isn't high enough. If it had been higher, we could have got our experience up higher. I don't know what the best tactic is to make it in this game in terms of leveling up your stats, or if there's a best tactic. All the tactics seem like they could help you in some way. I know in the very earliest versions of the game, again, version 1, the reason I went on to make any other versions, because I didn't intend to, was I found my character was constantly, every time I leveled up, I was putting all of my points into health. And the reason I was doing that is because when your health goes up via that method, you also get some, not just maximum health goes up, your base health goes up by the same amount. And I was always so close to death, because the only way to heal yourself back then was the healing spells. That was it. There was no healing potion. So at some point along there, I added in the healing potion to say, here's a way to keep you alive, and then that ended up being pretty easy. And then I had a bunch of characters die consecutively from poisoning, so I thought, okay, I'll add in the curative potion, which took me a half hour of coding. And that's when I realized, okay, if it's that easy to add stuff in, this game is very modular, I'll add in more potions, and that's where we ended up with 1.13. All right, what are we going to raise this time? Let's do our health. That way when we find the next healing potion, it can heal more. And we got 7 out of it. That's not bad. All right, down to the next level, and then we're going to save it right here. Descend stairs? Yes. Press Q to quit and save. There we are. Let's quit to DOS, And thank you for playing Caverns of Xaskazien. That's it, guys. I'll be back in a little bit with a new episode. See ya.